The Premier of KZN, Sihle Zikalala, now giving an update on the situation in the province. Let's go straight there.
On social media and virtual platforms, colleagues who are here, we greet you, especially the members of the media. We have entered day number 6 since the flood disaster, which by far rank as being among the worst catastrophes to befall the province of KwaZulu-Natal in a long time. The loss of life, destruction of homes, the damage to the physical infrastructure, the demolition of public buildings, and the consequent damage to services combined to make this natural disaster one of the worst ever in recorded history of our province. We suspect the human toll and damage surpasses the 1987 floods which engulfed this part of the world. Following the 2-year devastating impact of COVID-19, the province had begun to make gradual but meaningful progress in all the right areas of our recovery and reconstruction program. However, the disaster has now been crashing down with the level of devastation caused by flooding. Even in this difficult moment, we remain encouraged and inspired by brave, creativity, and resilient people of KwaZulu-Natal and the tremendous support of the people of South Africa in general and the world as a whole. Our work to lift the people of KwaZulu-Natal from the flood disasters has just begun. The past 2 days have been focused on immediate rescue missions
Well, in case you just joined us, my apologies for the slight break-up in picture. That is KZN Premier Sihle Zikalala. We've just begun the press briefing, and it sounds like the audio is now back, so I'll keep quiet.
On the progress on the intervention we've made in all sectors, we will also deal with areas of challenges. As we respond with agency, we will put to the test our new district development model and the Operation Sugumasake, which identifies the beneficiary as the engine of sustainable development and in which the priority needs of the community becomes the overriding criteria of intervention. The needs identified are enormous. Billions will be required to rebuild the province from this catastrophe. It is against this background that at a meeting this morning, the provincial government resolved to ask the national government to consider a review and perhaps investigate whether this disaster should not be declared as a national disaster. We say this with humility and understanding that our president and ministers have been the first on the ground with us, and in surveying the damage they have witnessed, the level of required response. We remain grateful for the speed with which the disaster was declared, and we can assure the nation that we are doing our part to ensure that we cushion the people from the worst conditions they've been subjected to. Okubaluleke kakhulu ukuthi si-emphasize ukuthi kulesi sikhathi esikuso sidinga ukuqinisa kakhulu ubudlelwane beyinhlaka ikahulumeni zonke kusukela kwi-district development model kuya ku-operation sukuma sakhe. Siqinisa ukuthi si-intervene ngendlela esheshayo ukulekelela labo abantulile nalabo abayithola bengenamakhaya njengamanje ukuthi bakwazi ukuthola indawo nokuthi bakwazi ukuthi bakwazi ukuthola izinto zokudla. While eqaleni besibheka abadukile silekelela abangenayo impahla nazindlu, njengamanje sekudinga siqale sibheke ukuthi senze njani ukwakha kabusha. Kuyokhumbuleka ukuthi sakha esikhathini la eminyakeni emibili edlule impilo zabantu bakithi beyikhahlazwa i-COVID-19. We are mindful of the fact that most of our citizens are recovering from the post-traumatic stress related to this disaster. The magnitude of this disaster is overwhelming to all who care. It is against this background that we need to act with speed in recovery and removing all hindrances, including containers that lies on the road, as they remain a grim reminder of devastation. This must be our moment of khawuleza in word and in deed. We should be a nation that places a high premium on doing things efficiently and effectively and acting with agility to rise to the occasion when the situation demands. After all, we are a nation that is forged in crucibles of struggles, and no amount of human sufferings should dim the hope of a better life and a better future for all of us. For this hope to be sustained, we must act now and act as one nation and in the best interest of our country and humanity as a whole. In terms of the search and rescue mission, the current inclement weather has slowed our assessment and rescue operations on the ground. But we are once again back in the full swing. As of this morning, KwaZulu-Natal received 38 call-outs, and on the scenes that were attended, 6 bodies were recovered. We stand at approximately 63 persons missing or unaccounted for. The death toll now stands at 443. We wish to convey our heartfelt condolences and sympathy to the people and the families of one of our search and rescue team member who was busy doing search and rescue at Helen Dam. He experienced difficult breathing and was airlifted to the Mediclinic Hospital and unfortunately passed away. May his soul rest in peace. Under SAPS, we have deployed 4 pilots and 48 crews. With our SNDF, 4 pilots and 12 crews. We have secured dogs, 4 jetta skids, and a combined crew of 67 experts in search and rescue mission. We welcome the support from sister provinces. We are truly appreciative of this humanitarian assistance. Western Cape have supported us with disaster managers, fire and rescue, and engineers. We want to, on behalf of the provincial government and the people of KwaZulu-Natal, to also express solidarity with the people of Joslovo informal settlement, Kwalanga in Western Cape, who were affected by the raging fires on their way or on their homes yesterday. We have no doubt that South Africans will not fail in lending a hand to relieve the people of the Western Cape. Free State, we welcome the support from Free State. The Department of Health have provided the support of 5 officials, road engineers, Director on Construction, Rescue Team, and Structural Engineers. So we want to thank them. But on top of that, I must say that the Limpopo province has also offered the support, and they will be deploying some teams that will be arriving this afternoon. We will be receiving more other support and teams from other provinces. The South African Police Services have also deployed a contingent of personnel to ensure safety and apprehend a criminal element that may attempt to use the tragedy to pursue criminal activities. We wish to discourage people to get involved in any criminal activity, especially at a time when the focus must be on saving lives and rebuilding our beautiful province. Sinxusa wonke umuntu izakhamuzi zonke ukuthi masingasikwazi ngowethu, masingavumeli ubugebengu bande nakuba isifundazwe sixakekile sisemanzini sibhekene nenhlekelele. Ngalokho sithi sonke masibe neresponsibility yokuthi sakhe isifundazwe, kungabibikho abathatha lesi sikhathi baqhube ubugebengu. Ngiyafisa ukugcizelela ukuthi siyabonga ithimba ama-team esiwathunyelelwe ama-provinces ahlukahlukene. I-province yase-Western Cape ithumele ithimba elinabantu ama-disaster managers, ama-fire and rescue, o-engineer. I-Free State yasithumelela abawu-5 ababhekela umkhakha wezempilo, u-road engineer, ama-director be-construction, ama-rescue team, nama-structural engineers. Siyafuna ukubonga kakhulu kubona bonke abaye basilekelela. iLimpopo iqinisekisile ukuthi nayo izothumela eyayo i-team ezofika namuhla ebusuku. The total number of rescue team or personnel is 185. With regard to water, a number of areas experience water disruption. A war room has been established comprising of eThekwini, Umngeni Water, the Department of Water and Sanitation, Human Settlement and Roads, and a plan to restore services is being implemented. These are the achievements that we can report so far. Bulk water supply, 96%, which is 520 megaliters of Durban Heights production capacity, will be fully restored by the 24th. 140 megaliters per day will be recovered. This will cover the northern region of Durban, areas such as KwaMashu, Ntuzuma, Newlands, Durban North, Umhlanga, Phoenix, and Inanda. Distribution network and pump station need to be refurbished to restore capacity. A contract through emergency procurement will be appointed soon to start, and in this regard, this will help us to recover and supply 100 megaliters of water in the southern basin, covering the southern part of Durban, which is Umlazi, Adams, and Umbumbulu. The bulk water supply, the Hazelmere Dam water, the quality has been affected by the floods. The impact, this impact on the capacity of water treatment works. Identified areas will be supplied through water tankers in the interim. The operation and maintenance team from the city of eThekwini have been isolating the major leaks and bursts in order to conserve available water. A large portion of Umhlanga has been affected by this process of conserving water. Once the leak has been addressed, water supply will be restored. We are using technology to dictate water leaks. We are currently providing emergency supply of water. We have 179 in operation currently and working according to shift. So we are aiming to ensure that there is no area that does not receive water. In case of water tankers, at least we must ensure that each day, each area gets water through water tankers up until water is restored. In Ugu district, the following areas have been restored with isolated cases of air look and low pressure. Mapek, Margate, Extension 3, Ramsgate North, Ramsgate South, Sea Park, Sandwich Port, Shelley Beach, Mkolombo, Nosita, and Melville. These areas are also beginning to get water, though low pressure in certain streets. The following areas are not yet restored, and we are working toward restoring water in these areas. This is Machisini, Pumula, Wood Range, Hippartine Command Reserve, Enley Reservoir, Margate CPD, Manaba, Margate Extension 2, Uvongo Bulk Line. With regard to Ilembe, we have challenges due to inaccessible or inaccessibility of roads. This is resulting in challenges to deliver water in many areas as roads are muddy and make it difficult to navigate on the hills given the terrain of the district. This is affecting communities and schools. More water tankers are required to cover areas such as KwaDukuza, Ndwedwe, and Maphumulo municipality. Nsuze and Isdumbini treatment plant are flooded and require reprioritization of allocation that is destined for that municipality, that scheme. The Sundumbili water treatment works, the largest sewage treatment servicing the entire Mandeni, is flooded, and as a result, this will have an impact, and teams are working on it right now. With regard to electricity, we can confirm that most areas that experience electricity disruption, particularly in eThekwini, are now back to full service. The challenge is in individuals' household and new cases being reported. Power supply that was impacted on water and the filling up of reservoir in areas such as Inanda Dam has been fixed. The main challenge with water is the bulk supply pipelines that are damaged. Intervention by the Department of Social Development. Thus far, the Department of Social Development is providing a supply of food parcels to victims together with municipalities in affected areas. Home-cooked meals that could be accessed through soup kitchens are available. Tent for temporary shelter, blankets and mattresses are being provided. The South African Social Security Agency has also made funding to the tune of 1,900 per household for the burial support. These exclude the funding to be provided to cover funeral costs by the province and municipalities, as well as private donors. Department of Health, some hospitals were affected and others reported running out of water. This has received priority attention and the problem is largely getting resolved. The department remains on high alert for waterborne diseases such as cholera, diarrhea and malaria. We have asked the department to look into a possibility of providing temporal or mobile clinics to ensure that people do not run out of chronic medication and that they are serviced during this period of disaster. The department will upscale education on water purification, good sanitization and hygiene. The Department of Health is reporting that all challenges experienced earlier are now resolved. We are also mindful that the disaster is happening during the period of COVID-19. Hence, we request and implore communities to exercise extra care as they get involved with effort to rebuild their lives. With regard to mortuaries, we are in control of the situation through the Department of Health. We have completed 243 post-mortems and are left with 114 more to complete. We have mobilized additional resources, including 7 doctors, to ensure that the post-mortems are completed speedily in order to avoid congestion and to enable those who are grieving to bury their loved ones. Our officials are constantly monitoring the situation and sending bodies to those facilities that do have space. We are appealing to those who have lost their loved ones to be patient, and we wish to assure them that we are doing the best we can under the current circumstances. We would also like to appeal to funeral conductors to stop creating a false sense of alarm and to allow our forensic pathologists to do their work unhindered and to collect bodies that have been completed without delay. Ngiyafisa nje ukugcizelela ukuthi indaba yamanzi siyaqinisekisa ukuthi zonke indawo ziyawathola amanzi. Bese ngiqinisa ukuthi ngokomnyango waka social development siyaqinisa ukuthi omasipala nomnyango waka social development banikezela ngama food parcels kubo bonke abantu aba affected. Ngaphekwa lokho kunamatenda providwayo ukuze abantu bakwazi ukuhlala, kuno blanket no mattress. Siyazama ukuthi ngokubambisana nama NGOs kube khona ukudla okulethwayo ebantwini. The South African Services, South African Social Security Agency nayo isinikezela ukuthi izoxhasa emndenini eshonelwe yihlobo ukuze ikwazi ukuthi kungcwatshwe ihlobo edlulile emhlabeni. Umnyango wakwezempilo usebenza ngokusemandleni ukulungisa isimo ezibhedlela, siqinisekisa ukuthi bonke abantu bayasizakala ngendlela. Si mindful ukuthi uma amanzi engahlanzekile abantu abasebenzisa lawo manzi bayithola bephathwa izifo ezithize engafana no cholera, diarrhea nemarali. Singaqinisekisa ukuthi umnyango uzoqinisa ukufundisa abantu ngokwazi ukuhlanza amanzi ukuze bakwazi ukwaphuza. Ngaphekwa lokho siyaqonda ukuthi lento yale disaster yenzeka ngesikhathi la sibhekene khona nokhuvethe lwe COVID-19. Noma kunjalo siyafuna ukusho ukuthi njengohulumeni simelene and siyadila naso simo kuzo zonke izibhedlela. Uma singena odabeni lwama mortuaries singaqinisa ukuthi kusetshenzwa ngokuyimisela ukuqinisekisa ukuthi bonke abadlulile emhlabeni ama postmortems ayenziwa ngokusheshsha. Right now seqedwe izidumbu ezu 243 and kusele ezingu 114 odokotela nabasebenzi abadila nazo kumanje. Sifisa ukunxusa kubo bonke ilabo abadlulelwe yihlobo nalabo abasebenzi nabarana ama funeral parlors ukuthi masibamsane masingasendi imiyalezo esusa ukuthuka ekhanda ukuthuka ebantwini. Masingaqhubeki sinikeze abantu ukuthi balahlekelwe yithemba ngokunikezela imiyalezo engelona iqiniso. Masiqinisekise ukuthi siyabamsana and nalabo abasebenzayo ababangcwabi mabanikeza ama-officials akwahulumeni isikhathi sokuthi enza ama-postmortem ngendlela. With regard to education, to date, a total of 551 schools have been affected. About 98 of these will need mobile classes when schools open, while others require cleaning and minor repair to resolve the situation. The severe cases will be dealt with through the implementing agent intervention. The department will unveil the plan to ensure that schooling return to normal when schools reopen, with also putting in place measures to support in all schools that are affected. Agriculture and rural development, due to floods, there are many or there may be low harvesting and an impact on livestock and farming community. And we are busy collecting the data with regard to affected farmers. The Department of Human Settlement has also responded swiftly. The minister has announced that an amount to the tune of 1 billion will be made available to assist in the human settlement sector. We know that there is a total of 8,329 houses that are partially damaged, with 3,937 completely destroyed houses, and therefore a total of 13,556 affected households that are affected in different ways. With the effect from Tuesday, the MEC for Human Settlement will lead the program to identify land for temporary relocation of people, as well as facilities that will be needed, will be provided in terms of the temporal shelters. Moving forward, the case of persons who have built houses along the river banks will receive priority attention, because mostly these are people that get affected whenever there are floods. A number of houses along these river banks were affected. Many still remain precautiously perched on the edge of the river. In reality, no building should ever have been allowed to be erected at such a location. As part of the future plans, we should implement a no building line across all municipalities using the Prevention of Re-Emergence of Slums Act. Focus on identifying alternative land for the relocation. Start with those whose buildings are in the greatest danger. Siyafisa ukugcizelela ukuthi sizama konke okusemandleni uqinisa ukuthi ezemfundo ayiphazamiseki. Njengamanje singareport ukuthi izikole ezu551 zibe affected ngenxa yalesi simo. Umnyango wezemfundo uzozama ukufaka ama-temporary classes, ubuye uzama ukuthi lezo izikole ezidinga ukuklinwe ngokusheshsha ukuze ngabibikho abafundi abazoyithola bengondingasithebeni uma sekuvulwa izikole. Umnyango wezolimo usebenza ngokusheshsha ekutheni ubheke indawo ezikhahlamezekile, abalimi abakhahlamezekile ukuze uthiqoqe ulwazi. Siyazi ukuthi into ekhahlamezeke kakhulu kulama floods izindlu. Umnyango we-Human Settlement u-announcile ukuthi kuzokwa-allocatewa u-1 billion ukunikezela izindlu. Siyazi ukuthi njengamanje izindlu ezingu-8,329 zilimele, mese kuthi ezingu-3,937 zidestroyekile, ziphelile zona, and then kube khona ezinye ithintekile lapha nalapha ezingu-13,556. Umnyango u-MEC wakwa-Human Settlement, u-MEC Sibiya, uzoqinisekisa ukuthi ngolesibili ungena ohlelweni loku-identify indawo eyidinga ukuthi kurelocate abantu banikezwe lezo ndawo. Sizoqinisekisa ukuthi abantu abakha ngasemifuleni asikuvuma ukuthi qhutshekwe kwakhiwe ngasemifuleni ngoba lokho kubeka abantu bakithi engozini. Ngokomnotho, umnyango waka-Economic Development, Tourism and Environmental Affairs usohlelweni lokusupporta amabhizinisi a-affected. Njengamanje umnyango uqhubeka ukubambisana nomasipala ukuthi ukwazi uku-identifya indawo affected. Ngaphekwa lokho umnyango uzama ukuthi unikezele amanzi wakhe uhlelo oludidiyele lokunikezela amanzi especially kwi-industry yamahotela ukuze bakwazi ukusizakala. Umnyango wakwa-Home Affairs usuqalile ukusiza abantu ngokunikezela ama-death certificate nama-document onke ongenzeka ukuthi alahlekile. Konke lokhu kuyalekelela ukuthi kuphuthunyiswe ngoba khona nalabo okudinga ba-register for usasa. The Department of Economic Development is working on a program to support businesses affected by floods. Profiling exercise will continue and interventions will be determined as per the damage done or caused. The department working with entities, they are also trying to respond to water shortages in hotels. The Department of Home Affairs has commenced all the work to assist with death certificates and relevant documentations to all the victims of floods in the province. Perceptions of corruption, we want to say without any equivocation that all the resources allocated for flood relief and the recovery and building process will be utilized in line with fiscal prudency, accountability, transparency, and openness. We want to emphasize the fact that having learned the lessons of COVID-19, no amount of corruption, maladministration, or fraud will be tolerated in the province. We want to assure our communities that all the funds will be used prudently and that no one will be allowed to abuse the suffering of the people in order to line up their pockets. Work of quality and value for money will be done. We have monitoring teams that are in place, including the Auditor General. We will act decisively without fear or favor or prejudice on anyone taking advantage of resources meant to assist the needy community. Ngiyafuna ukugcizelela lo liphuzu ukuthi njengohulumeni angeke sayibekezelela inkohlakalo. Sizoqinisekisa ukuthi zonke imali allocateelwe ukuthi zilekelele ngalesi sikhathi ziyaqiniseka ukuthi ziya kubantu abadeserve ngempela. Futhi umsebenzi owenziwayo kube umsebenzi oyiquality futhi neamount ekhokhwayo kube yeyiyo kungakhokhwa imali enkulu ngomsebenzi omncane. Sineyinhlaka esiyibekile izakhiwo esiyibekile ukumonitha kuyo yonke indawo la kuzospendwa khona imali. Lokhu kubala uAuditor General ukuthi abe in charge akwazi ukuevaluate ngesikhathi. Sifunde lukhulu ngesikhathi seCovid-19 and angeke savumela osibekezelele nanoma yipi inkohlakalo. With regard to transport, roads and bridges, the roads, bridges and other essential infrastructure were damaged or completely washed away. The coastal areas such as eThekwini, Ilembe, Ugu and King Cetshwayo were the most affected district municipalities. These floods have also affected the provincial road network and rendered them unsafe for public use. Urgent repairs and removal of debris are underway to restore the road network to its safe conditions again. Most roads that were blocked have so far been cleared, in some cases allowing single-lane access. Work continues to restore access to the remaining roads, but some will need extensive repair to render them, restore them and ensure that they are conditions again. There are still road closures, thus isolated. Also, it requires that we look on increasing time when we travel. The estimated cost for road infrastructure damages is preliminary sitting at 5.6 billion, and this includes 1,369 infrastructure projects across the province. The short-term intervention will be done, which include identifying locations where access have been completely lost due to existing crossing being washed away. And therefore, we are going to have the short term, which will include engaging with public works, as they have confirmed that SANDF will deploy 6 to 10 teams that will build bridges in the province. So we can confirm that the work is going to start soon. In terms of the cost, at this point, we are still surveying all the damage and quantifying. We want to be scientific and not alarmist about it, and to ensure that we have covered all sectors affected. We've just demonstrated with the few figures on human settlement and transport, which is the road infrastructure. With regard to support to families that are bereaved, as we indicated in our last comprehensive briefing, the government and social partners will provide support to the bereaved families. This morning, the Executive Council approved the provincial policy on government support funeral assistance to people who passed away as a result of flood disasters. Municipalities have policies to assist the needy and the indigent, and are currently conducting profiling in line with these policies. Partners such as AFBOP have also committed to supporting about 150 people or families. We are aware that due to water and electricity challenges, there have been delayed with post-mortem's report, but the Department of Health is attending to this situation. Every needy family will be supported, and as of today, we will be ready to assist families that are ready to lay their loved ones to rest. The Burial Support Committee has been established and is working, composed of the Department of the Premier, which is coordinating, but working with DSD and COGTA. Siyafisa ukugcizelela ukuthi imigwaqo sizama ukuthi ivuleke, and siyazi ukuthi imigwaqo ethinteke kakhulu yileyo esogwini eyakhelene kumbe eseduze nolwandle. Omningi sivulekile noma usathola ukuthi kweminye imigwaqo kusebenza ilane eyodwa. Mangisho ukuthi ngokwe damage eyenzekile singaka assess i-detail ngokujulile, singasho ukuthi kubukeka ngathi umonakalo uzobiza about 5.6 billion kwi-province yonke ngokwemigwaqo. Ngalokho siyafuna ukusho ukuthi asifuni ukuhlawumbisela, but sizoqinisekisa ukuthi ama-aspects ayakwazi ukuthi enze a thorough assessment. Mangisho ukuthi uhulumeni uzolekelela bonke abashiwe izihlobo zabo, uqinisekisa ukuthi bayakwazi ukuthi babeke izihlobo zabo ngendlela. Sisebenzisana nomasipala, sizoqinisekisa nabazimele private sector, sizonikezela uxhaso kubo bonke labo abadinga usizo. Ekuseni namuhla i-cabinet yaKwaZulu-Natal Executive Council ihlanganile ya-adopta ipolicy ezokwazi ukunikezela i-support kubantu. U-AFBOP usuyinikezela ukuthi uzosupporta emngcwabeni yabantu abangu-150 okuwuxhaso esilibonga kakhulu. At this stage, I wish also to thank Absa. They have come on board also. There is the team from Absa. They've come on board with the support. They will be contributing in total 10 million to support us as government. Already, the 7.5 is used through NGOs and gift of the givers on providing food, on providing blankets and other requirements. They will also, from that 10 million, 2.5 million will be reserved for the infrastructure where they will be assisting in terms of the long term. Siyafisa ukubonga kakhulu kuleyo support. At this stage, we wish to pay tribute to the emergency services across all the networks of disaster officials. We want to thank them, all those who are working in the disaster centers, those workers who are in the health services, the security agencies, social services, fire services, nabo bonke siyafisa ukubona bonke abasebenzi bakahulumeni abaphambili ekulweni nalesimo esibhekene naso. Sibonga kakhulu nakuyinhlangano eziyimele nosomabhizinisi namavolunteer onke. We also want to thank thousands of fellow South Africans who in various ways are lending a hand to help their neighbors in distress. We express the gratitude of the government and the people of KwaZulu-Natal. We have taken blows, but your support is helping to cushion the blows. Your assistance and support will help to pick ourselves up and keep going. This is the moment of great adversity, but this is also a moment where we need to summon our collective courage and turn this devastation into an opportunity to rebuild our province. It is a moment for the human spirit to triumph over adversity. Like the well-known cycle of life, our communities have long understood that, drawing from ancient wisdom, that when the sun sets on the land of our fathers and mothers, darkness does not assume the status of permanency. The sun shall rise again. The people of KwaZulu-Natal will rise from this mayhem. We are sure of this because the province has the whole nation behind it. We are grateful of the support we have been given by the country as a whole and the various institutions, even those that are outside our country. May God bless the people of KwaZulu-Natal and comfort them during this difficult time. May I further take this opportunity to clarify one issue. I have seen in the media that there is, in the social media, that there is a clip, a video clip that is going viral with someone saying that he is by my house and there are people who are putting water in my homestead. I think I must clarify that up front. I called the Metro to distribute water. They gave people water all over in Lamisi. After they've given people water, then they gave water into the house. And it was after my wife had gone to collect water. So, because these things are meant to distract us. But what is not reported is what the family led by my wife is doing in cooking and providing food to the people who are staying in that hall. And that clip has not surfaced. The man is showing only this clip where we called the water tanker to provide water. And after the water was provided to the whole community, he poured water at home. Then for him, that is what is the story, rather than to do work. With that, siyafisa ukubonga ithuba lokwazi ukuthi sidlulise lo myalezo kubo bonke babantu bakwaZulu-Natal. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Premier, for the comprehensive report and for also clarifying the attempts to distract you from this big responsibility to pull the people of the province out of this abyss. The members of the media will be welcome to also join the Premier's family as it continues with the humanitarian responsibilities in the community, and they will forget the distraction and will avoid it. We will go straight to questions of clarity. Let me start with the colleagues that are online, and then I'm going to come to the colleagues that are here. I'm already noting colleagues from SABC and News of Africa and ENCA, but let me first start with those that are online. Are there any colleagues online? Or maybe let me start with those that are here. They are protesting. Okay, let me start with the colleagues inside the room. SABC number 1. Followed by News from Africa and ENCA. Any other hand here? Those 3. Then we'll go to the colleagues that are on the online platforms. In that order, please.
Thank you very much, Basil. It's Zianda Ngobo from Newsroom Africa. I just wanted to get clarity perhaps from the Premier on when exactly the Auditor General's team will be here. How exactly will they be working in terms of monitoring how all these relief funds are being spent? And if you're in a position, Premier, to give an exact tally of how many rescue workers have perished in their attempt to try and save lives. We heard from the Economic Development MEC, Ravi Pillay. He told our channel that 10 billion, at least for now, will be needed in terms of the recovery efforts. So you've given some of the stats, 5.6 billion, 1 billion from human settlements. Where will the rest of this money be coming from in light of the request that you're humbly making to the national government to actually declare this as a national disaster? But also, what does it mean practically to have this declared a national disaster, a state of disaster? And when it comes to the missing people, I mean, you've reported 63. I mean, I'm no statistician, but that seems quite low. Is there a reporting issue that you're having? How are you collecting these numbers? Because from what we're assessing on the ground, there are more, it seems like it's definitely more than 63 people who are currently missing as a result of this disaster. Thank you.
Okay, SABC?
And from the SABC, Zianda covered the one on the number of people that are missing. If I may ask, Premier, with regards to education, we know that a lot of the schools have now been used as shelters. Now, with these schools that are going to be reopening, where are you going to then house those people? And also, I know the Deputy Mayor is also here. Maybe he could also assist with this one. Deputy Mayor, you started with 17 shelters, if I remember, just here in the eThekwini Metro. The areas that we have visited, all of these shelters are full. People do not have any place to go. Are you going to find additional space, and where can you find this additional space to accommodate these people that need to be housed? I'm going to leave it there for now. Thank you.
ENCA?
Thank you, Avivam Dila from ENCA. Premier, just on the water infrastructure, it looks like this water issue is a huge one, with people still scrambling while you have put those water tankers on the ground. Have you actually assessed how much worth of damage you need to sort out the infrastructure? Could you give us maybe a figure just on that, and the permanent solution, because it seems like people are still scrambling on the ground for water. Just to add on to Zianda's question on the national state of disaster, what sort of relief are you hoping for if it's declared a national state of disaster? And does this indicate that as a province you don't have this disaster under control, hence the need to actually ask the national government for more assistance in it?
Okay, thank you. Can we allow the Premier to answer, and then we go to the...
Allow the Deputy Mayor to start.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. Good evening, all. Now, we are fully aware that the people who are housed at the schools at the moment will be having a problem because latest by tomorrow we need to be moving them. We have already embarked on that. Remember, it's not all our halls that have been used. You have halls that are in some wards that were not affected. So that's where we're moving those people to. That's a way we're going to deal with it for now, until such a time that we found suitable alternative area to keep them there.
No, thanks. With regard to the ensuring that we prevent all form of corruption, what we will do once things have been damage assessed, any contract will have to be pre-audited by the provincial treasury. And we are putting systems in place on that. So Treasury will assess any work or all work that will be done in advance. We will be in touch to finalize the role that will be played by the Auditor General. But Auditor General normally comes after. So we would want to have a system that will be proactive to ensure that we are in advance, prevent any form of looting, including ensuring that we are transparent. And you will remember that when we were dealing with the issue of COVID-19, we even presented the beneficiaries, those who were doing work. So we will once again do so. With regard to rescuers, I've said that we have a team of 168 on the ground, no, 185 on the ground. So they are working. Only one passed on, which we regret, and we send our condolences to his family. Schools, I'll address the issue of the national or proposal for the national state of disaster at the end. With regard to schools, yes, we have to ensure that schools are reopened and kids go back to school and study. We would want to ensure that we finalize this matter by tomorrow so that the schools will be repurposed and cleaned for learners when they come back. But we should equally ensure that people who will be there, we will ensure that they get alternative accommodation within those areas. With regard to the damage infrastructure, water infrastructure, we are busy quantifying that. We are not going to be alarmist and give figures without a proper assessment. But I must confirm what you've observed, that the water infrastructure has been hugely and severe damaged. And this takes us back. And you will know that we were still fighting the backlog. There are people who don't have water. We always distribute through water tankers in those areas. So this is a setback, but we will be able to give you exact figures once we've done the thorough assessment. With regard to the request or a view that this should be reclassified as a national state of disaster, it brings more hands in that national departments complement the province. It's not that we're saying we don't have capacity. We do have capacity, but you will know that there will be limitations in terms of resources, firstly. Allocated resources, the province has been experiencing financial cuts, reduction in terms of the fiscus. But when we declare it as the national state of disaster, it means more departments will come in to complement us on the work we are doing. And I think you will realize we need more assistance. The president has been here, the minister of COGTA, Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, has been here working with us, Minister Tsele, Minister Mchunu, Minister Kubai, Deputy Minister of Sports. They've been with us. But we will want to see more in terms of the technocrats who will be with us also. There are also areas that will need even the support of the private sector specialists who can help us. We are quite comforted and very inspired by the support so far from various institutions that I've presented, and we will think we will make it with that support. I believe I've covered all questions. There's one.
Premier, you didn't respond to my question on what methodology is being used to collect the data on how many people are missing. You currently have it at 63, but it just seems low, but maybe there's something I'm not understanding with the number of missing people.
No, the data or the methodology we use is through the structures. Firstly, when there are missing people, people report to police stations. Then we get the information from there that there are missing persons in these areas. But then we have our own, as government, we have established Operation Sugumasake, where councillors are working with war rooms. And in war rooms, they get report of what is happening per area. They go to check communities in those respective wards. Then that feed to the DTT, it feed to the province. Right now, COGTA has been engaging with mayors and the officials in district. Tomorrow, I know the Premier will be convening the provincial, the Premier's coordinating forum to engage with all mayors and work on the plans going forward. So the methodology is streamlined, it's clear. There are structures from the cabinet to the mayors and their respective district, which is the district task team, DTT. And from the DTT, you've got your LTT. And from your LTT, you've got a war room, which is in the ward. And once there is a report from that ward, it gets escalated up to the center where we are coordinating.
Thank you very much, Honourable Premier, for that detailed explanation. Can we take the colleagues online? Who can you please indicate, colleagues? Or you can go ahead, colleagues online, and just introduce yourself and your media house. Are we all covered? Colleagues online?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Premier, I just want to find out from
okay,
you.
Sorry,
1,900 rand.
Sorry, your media house first.
Will be given to families for funerals. Is that 1,900 rand per deceased or 1,900 rand per family? Thank you.
Sorry, the last colleague, which media house and what's your name, sir?
It's Dennis Dalport from Netwerk 24 here.
Mr. Report. Any other question, colleagues online?
That is all from my side. Thank you.
Other colleagues online? Going once, twice, gone over to the Honourable Premier.
No, thanks. I think the question is simple. It is 1,900 for grocery only. The funeral costs are covered by the policy that the province adopted together with the municipalities as well as the private sector support. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Zianda, you will be the last one. Any other question from the colleagues in the House? No. Zianda?
Thanks.
Ayanda.
Thanks very much, Lennox. I'm very happy, Premier, that you've mentioned you know, councillors and them having to be a part of the streamlined process, because it would seem that in at least, I'd say, 3 communities that we visited, the councillors have been missing in action. It's something that they've been complaining about. The most recent one is what they did in Sunshine Village in Merrin Hill, where they say the councillor has been a no-show, and yet there was an 8-year-old girl who's been missing. There's been absolutely no assistance that's been sent since. Instead, they've had to rely on the goodwill of the police station there to be able to assist. So in this DTT, the district task team, what are you keeping check of which councillors are arriving, which councillors are contributing, what their contributions are? And the other issue with councillors is then there's another situation that councillors have also told us, that they feel that some of these processes have been too centralized. So they have made, for an example, in Dazenok, where, you know, when we went with the mayor, there were water tankers, and they had complained to say, well, they've been requesting these water tanks since the beginning of the disaster, and to them it seemed like it was a PR exercise, that you only bring the water tankers once the mayor is there, and they now have to deal with the anger of the community who believe that they are not delivering or responding to their needs.
I also just like to follow up on what Zianda had said. Also, Ward 54 in Durban, when we visited their premier, the councillor, in fact, was arrested. So that's what we were told from the community. So they've got nowhere to go. So in the event that the councillors are not on the ground assisting and there are no ward committee members, where do people go? Then secondly, Premier, would be some areas we tried to access, but because of the bridges being washed away and the roads being damaged, we couldn't get there. So have you been able to reach all areas, and how many areas are you aware of where aid has not been able to get to, where even the disaster management teams that are assessing the damage have not been able to get to?
Thanks. Now, I'll start with the one that I know very well. What they did, the councillor there is Councillor Kluti. He is in hospital as we speak. He's in ICU. It is not true that he has not been in his ward. The area you're talking about in particular, on the day of that particular accident, they all tried to get to the area where there was a rock that came down from the mountain. They couldn't access the area, and they went around and around, and then the community there said, no, you know, they came and they ran away. That was not the truth. It's simply because the road was completely closed. And the issue about the young girl that people believe is buried there, I was there a few hours ago. The community is trying to dig, because we haven't managed to get the police to come with the sniffer dogs. But when I went down there, I went with the MEC Mkunyeni and the DG of the province. We are fully aware of the situation. We've again asked the police if they can see within their limited resources if they can send their dog unit to go and see what is happening. We are fully aware of the story. It is not true. Secondly, we need to emphasize this as a municipality, that in eThekwini, there is no ward without the ward committee. You have a ward councillor, and then you've got 10 members of the ward committee. It wouldn't be correct to say there will be nobody to talk to. There is no such. Over and above that, in eThekwini, we've got what we call PR councillors deployed in every ward. Therefore, there is no way that if one councillor is arrested or is sick, like in the case of Kluti, that there will be nobody. I can tell you now that in what they did, Councillor Pelim Kize is there running the operation. So it cannot be correct. And during the day, we asked exactly the same thing, because that's what was said. And we clarified that what was happening. So I think if the question is asked to the people who understand what's happening on the ground, there will definitely be an answer. Thank you.
Can we I think I can confirm what the Deputy Mayor is saying, because yesterday when we were there, Councillor Pel Kize was there with us. We went to Ward 13. So most of the areas have been covered. So most of the areas have been covered. In case there are areas that have not been reported, we will make sure that we cover those areas and reach out. MECs have been deployed as well as champions to their district to assist working with districts. So we are going to ensure that we reach all areas. We will be later this week entering into the cleaning campaign, intense cleaning campaign, and we will announce that. But we've covered almost all areas. Thank you.
Thank you very much, colleagues. We adjourn here for now. Oh, there's Mr. Pina from the KZN. Pina, go ahead. Mr. Kina?
Yes, thanks, Mamasu. Ubugan Kina KZN. I just want to know, Premier, and hear from you if Gulaba Asa statistics as to how many are South Africans and how many are not from this country, because we know and are aware that we have many of foreigners in this country, especially from squatter camps or from informal settlements that have been mostly hit. Thank you.
No, we don't have the specifics in relation to that, but we must be human enough. One life lost, it's one too many, irrespective of whether it's a South African or a foreign national. It's life of a human being. It matters. We must treat the matter with care and sensitive enough to ensure that we support all people equally. There is no one who will not be supported because he's not a South African. We must, in this case, support all people as expected. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Premier, Deputy Mayor, and all the colleagues here and all the colleagues on the online platform. We'll advise you of the next update, and Proctor will also continue with their daily briefings. We thank you and adjourn at this point. Please avoid fake news and distractions. Thank you.
There is an awful amount to go through off the back of that briefing, more than an hour now from KZN Premier Sihle Zikalala. We are going to be speaking to our reporters in a moment to get details, but just some of the big updates which have just come out of this compared to the numbers we've had over the past few days. It is one of the worst natural disasters on record in the province. Now we understand 551 schools have been damaged. Some of the other big updates: there was a meeting this morning. There's been a request to national government to have this declared a national disaster. As of this morning, there have been 38 more call-outs from KZN officials and KZN Search and Rescue. 6 bodies have been recovered. There was a bit of contestation around the number of people missing. We've been reporting hundreds, as have many outlets the past few days. The Premier saying officially there are 63 people missing at the moment. The death toll has now gone up to 443. You can see that on the side of your screen as well. And sadly, one search and rescue member has passed away. We understand there was difficulty breathing. The cause of death has not been announced. There are 179 emergency water supply areas in the province. More are on the way, but the Premier saying it is impossible to get to some areas because roads have been completely washed away. And then as far as households affected, whether it's damaged or completely destroyed, 13,556. But Human Settlements are going to confirm that number also to make sure enough money is in place in the next few days. And ending off the briefing by saying the province of KZN will rise again. The people of KZN will rise again.